Good morning, everyone. This could be the most important video I've ever put out. This is about what we was talking about, and I was a bit stuck on it the other day. The EIB, the European Investment Bank, and our liability towards the EIB. But it's not just that. These two guys here explain everything. Now I'm going to have to thank my friend Lee, because I did ask everyone to go and find out what's going on. Because we heard Nigel Farage say something about 40 billion, right? And I thought maybe they was all getting confused with 40 or 50 billion to 500 billion. But the truth is, they're both right. We are liable in a crisis within the EIB, like what we had with the Greek crisis and the Irish crisis and the Portuguese financial. Well, these are all financial crises in the EU recently. And we were liable, and we are still liable, to help bail out these countries. But we know that there's bigger liabilities standing ready to crash, like Italy and France, right? And we are liable again up to 40 billion to bail these countries out along with the EU. Even when we leave, I think it's something like, they explain it all, something like up to 12 years or something. But there's a major liability. The 500 billion liability is true, right? It is in perpetuity, because it's if the EIB and the EU completely melts down, then we are liable for 500 billion pounds or euros. It don't really matter. There's not much in it between the two, to be honest with you. So this is what Boris Johnson has signed us up to. This is what he has betrayed us, right? And this is unbelievable. Thank you, Lee, for finding this. I've been asking people to get me this, to clarify what it all means, what people were saying. That guy that came out of Parliament and said we've been sold out by Boris in my previous video, and Varadkar was laughing his head off that Boris give him Ireland, and that we're also giving 39 billion to the EU with this deal that Boris has done. But and we're liable for 500 billion. We are liable for 500 billion, but we're also liable, what Nigel Farage said on the Andrew Marr show on last Sunday, for 40 billion if there's a crisis within the EU. So listen to this. This is unbelievable.
I know you've been doing some research on the European Investment Bank, the EIB. So tell us the story. We own what percentage of the bank?
We own 16.1% of the bank, and we put in originally 3.5 billion euros back in 1973.
So now...
Sorry, I'm going to take this back. I've turned the volume up, so we go back again, right? Here we go.
I know you've been doing some research on the European Investment Bank, the EIB. So tell us the story. We own what percentage of the bank?
We own 16.1% of the bank, and we put in originally 3.5 billion euros back in 1973.
So now 3.5 billion in 73, what does that equate to?
And that equates in current pound terms of inflation, that would be over 30 billion pounds.
Right.
And in the original Theresa May withdrawal treaty, we were granted the original 3.5 billion back over the 12 years, while our actual stake in the bank is 16.1%, and that is actually worth over 11 billion euros.
So we've made, during that period, 7.5 billion euros of profit, which have been retained
and never distributed. There's not been a single dividend given to us over the 43 years that we've owned a stake in the EIB.
Surely we're getting that profit back as well?
No, we're getting nothing back. In fact, it gets a lot worse, because our repayment schedule under the current treaty and under the new Boris Johnson treaty is for a 12-year period where we get back in equal installments. But more importantly, we are left with a liability of 37 billion euros in the event of either the euro or the eurozone having another crisis.
So that 37 billion is called callable capital, and we can call for it any time. And I think it's a really important thing for people in the UK to know is our ongoing exposure to the euro.
It is. It underpins the EIB in the event of another crisis over the next 12 years. And what we're saying is, regardless of the transition period negotiated by the government and Barnier, if we don't do a no deal, which is what we want, to remove ourselves from this liability, we have that ongoing liability. But in fact, it could be even worse, because there is a huge liability of 500 billion euros in the event of a complete meltdown of the eurozone, which I think is highly probable over the next 12 years.
Which most people in the capital markets do. So any renegotiation that we have with the European Union, on the fundamental tenets of that renegotiation, is we need all our money, all our profits back, and no ongoing liability to the euro.
absolutely no ongoing liability. It's essential, and we can only achieve that through a clean break Brexit.
There you go, right? Now, I'm going to thank Lee for giving me that video, but I'll tell you who I also want to thank, right? I want to thank Gerard Batten because it was from him where I got the word Quisling from. He started using it, right? And there is nothing more appropriate, right? We've been running around using the word Quisling, traitor and fifth columnist, right? To all these Remainers, right? To all these traitors, these fifth columnists and Quislings, right? And this is what it's all about, right? Boris Johnson is a Quisling. Boris Johnson is a traitor. Boris Johnson is a fifth columnist. They're all traitors. This is what it's all about, right? This is the real betrayal of Britain. The deal, the filthy, rotten deal that Johnson's done, right? Nigel Farage is right? Nigel Farage is 100% right. He mentioned the 40 billion the other day. That's only in a crisis. He didn't get round to mention the 500 billion. That's not because he's a traitor, but he's in the intense atmosphere of an interview with Andrew Marr last Sunday. You can all go back and check the interview he had with Andrew Marr. But we've got the other guy. These are all. This other guy. He's on my video. And it's about the 500 billion. He walks out of Parliament and he tells some Brexiteers outside, and it's now coming out, it's true, right? This is all true. This has to be spread wide. This has to go viral, right? I said that more stuff would come out. I said it. It's only the beginning, then 5 points that I had. Now we've got it all now. It's all coming out. Everything's coming out. Boris Johnson is a Quisling, a traitor and a fifth columnist. So is Steve Baker, so is Mark Francois, so is Jacob Rees-Mogg, so is Sir William Cash. They're all traitors. The so-called Eurosceptics that became so-called Brexiteers in the referendum are fifth columnists, traitors and Quislings, a lot of them. The bloody lot of them. We're sick of it. We're sick of the betrayal of the Conservative Party, right? This is all going to come out. They're going to come begging back to Nigel, right, to do a deal. If I was Nigel, I'd stick two fingers up to them, right, and take the lot of them on. Don't do a deal with them, Nigel. Do the lot of them, because once the British people hear this, there's a no deal is what's on the cards. It's 100% certainty. People will turn their backs on. They are the swamp. They are the swamp. The whole of Parliament and College Green is a swamp, right? Westminster Abbey was built on Stony Island by Edward the Confessor, because back in the day, in the Anglo-Saxon times, before 1066, the River Thames was a lot wider, right? Never were the words more prophetic, what Donald Trump said, drain the swamp, but they're more prophetic for us over here, because all of that building, all of College Green, where all the bloody media stand, it's all part of a swamp. It's just, they've built up barriers on the River Thames, right, that stop the river from expanding. But naturally, if you let the river expand, the whole of the Palace of Westminster is a swamp, right? And they are swamp creatures that reside in there. Only Westminster Abbey sits above the swamp on Stony Island, where Edward the Confessor built it. The rest of it is on reclaimed swampland, and they are swamp creatures. They are Quislings. They are traitors. They are fifth colonists. They need to be cleaned out. They're a disgrace, and we all need to wake up and spread the word. This must go viral, this video. It's the most important video I've ever put out, ever.